Thank you, Antonio. Patricia, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, this is my first time, and so I'm interested to see how everything goes. Thank you for the invitation, and I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much for coming. Lionel?
You're muted.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Leonel Rojas. In the Latino Caucus, I work with the social media. I am part of Franconia, and in Franconia, I am the co-lead of the what they call entry point, that's databasing and data analysis. So that's what is really consuming most of the time right now.
Thank you so much. Tashi? Okay, let's wait for Tashi a little bit, and let's start with AJ Thomas.
Hi, AJ here. I live in Alexandria. Good to be back with you guys.
Thanks for coming. And Tashi, can you hear us? Can you introduce yourself, please? Okay, yes.
He's muted.
Yes, we want to wait a little bit because he represents another candidate and we wish to speak. So let's continue with the meeting, and then when the time comes, he will be able to speak. So tonight, we have our future speaker, Canek Aguirre. He's from Alexandria City Council member. And some of the things that we know about Canek is that he's elected to the Alexandria City Council since 2018. Now he's serving his third term in 2024. He is the first Latino to ever serve on the Alexandria City Council. Yoo-hoo! He was born and raised in Los Angeles, the son of a Mexican immigrant. He is being the vice president for Virginia Transit Association, immediate past chair for the Virginia Board of Social Work, appointed by the governor of McCallie F. Northam, past chair of the Northern Virginia Transportation Commission, past chair of the National Capital Region Transportation Planning Board, Access for All Committee, the past chair of Alexandria Economic Opportunities Commission, past vice chair of a health system agency of Northern Virginia, and I was very surprised to know that he's the past president of Tenants and Workers United. So, wow, this is a very big impact in the community with the work that he does. So tonight, I introduce Canek Aguirre. Canek, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Maritza, for the warm welcome and the invitation, and good evening, everyone. It's always a little embarrassing hearing your own bio read. I still cringe a little bit and laugh. But yes, it's a good reminder that we have all been involved in a lot of different things, and we should never downplay some of our involvements and our experiences more than anything else. So, like was said, I'm originally from Los Angeles, born and raised. I went to school in North Carolina, and I got to the Commonwealth in 2011, where I started working in the local school system, Alexandria City Public Schools, where I was a parent liaison. And from there, I got plucked by the private sector and started working in Medicaid. And I went from when I was working in the school system from one neighborhood to the entire city, and then in the private sector working all of Northern Virginia from Winchester down to Fauquier and Culpeper. I was exposed to a lot of different things during that time, especially the plight of Latino minority students and families, not just in the school system, but also with accessing healthcare. And then, of course, everything else that comes with that, the housing insecurity, the food insecurity, the lack of access to transportation. So all of that, I didn't realize at the time, but was starting to formulate my future platform to run for office. And as Maritza mentioned, I'm also a past president of the board for Tenants and Workers United, and that's where I was able to really get involved with a lot more of the local issues, especially around housing. And when I chose to run in 2018, my platform was housing, education, and health. Housing, one part from my own personal story, but also the advocacy I've been doing both through the Economic Opportunities Commission as well as Tenants and Workers, the health part because that was my day job, and then education, one part from my past experience working in the local school system, but also my mother, who was a school teacher for 20 years in Los Angeles. And there was a lot of push and pull, like with a lot of minority candidates. It takes a lot of I don't want to say arm twisting, but convincing that that we should do it in the first place, right? And it's, am I viable? Am I a viable candidate? Can I raise money? Will people react to what your message is to them? So there's a lot of things that as a candidate you have to kind of get past first on your own to be able to decide that you want to put yourself out there. And then of course, once you're on the campaign trail, having to deal with all of those realities in full. And I'm really proud that even though our first time around we didn't raise a ton of money, we had a lot of volunteers and our message was definitely resonating within our community. And that was really critical to me being able to get across the line in the primary, because as you all are well aware, caucuses and the Democratic Party can't get involved in the primary. But people can still share their thoughts and their feelings on certain things. And I think it's been very important. My time on the council, I feel that I've brought a lot of change. There are a lot of things that we either weren't discussing or weren't going to prioritize that I've been able to accomplish on my time, especially during the pandemic. And a lot of that stems from my past experiences, right? Growing up in LA, I'd always had a pocket full of change, so I catch the bus because I was walking or taking the bus. When I went to school, the bus was free, and that's something that always stuck with me because when I was then working in North Carolina, I didn't have a car, and so when I got up to Alexandria, same thing, didn't have a car, relied heavily on public transit. When I was able to purchase a vehicle and I was working in the school system, one of the major barriers for the families to be able to participate in a lot of things was transportation. Again, when I was working in Medicaid, again, transportation kept on rearing its head. And so when I got onto the council, I gravitated towards a lot of the transportation things that we've been doing in the city. And I think not only my positions, but the policies that I've been able to pass have really shown how I've grown to become a leader in the transportation field here, not just in Alexandria, but across the region, sitting on NVTC, chairing it, being the first Latino to ever chair the Northern Virginia Transportation Commission, chairing the Access for All Committee, being on TPB, being on the WMATA Metro Board, right? So I've been able to influence a lot of different things. One of the biggest ones here in Alexandria, having fare free bus. And it gets to be, ¿cómo se dice? Contagious. It gets a little bit contagious when one locality sees another locality do something. All of a sudden they're like, oh, well, maybe I want to do that too. And oh, maybe we want to do this. And so now I believe the city of Fairfax, they've gone fare free. Montgomery County is looking to go fare free. And hopefully some more of our bus systems choose to go fare free. Some of the other things that I've helped bring to Alexandria, the importance of language, right? Language access, the way we do community engagement, making sure that things are not only available in different languages written, but also that we have interpreters available for meetings. The city has actually won 2 awards for planning and zoning in the state because of 2 small area plans that we've done. The first one was in Arlandria, Chirilawa, where the plan was in Spanish first. Everything that we did was in Spanish. And so we won an award for that a couple of years ago. And we kind of took that model and we did that in our West End. And in the West End, it's a little bit more diverse. We have Spanish speakers, Amharic speakers, Arabic speakers, Pashto and Urdu because of our Afghan population. And we won another award because of not just the amount of outreach we're doing in the different languages, of course, part of the plan as well, but really proud of what we've been able to do. Additionally, when it comes to outreach, also the fact that we're doing pop-ups, right? We're trying to meet people where they are. We're trying to engage demographics that typically have not been engaged, right? Because not everybody can make a Wednesday night, 7 p.m. meeting out in, City Hall or somewhere else. So meeting people at laundromats, at grocery stores, at bus stops. This has been really crucial to be able to really have a full picture of what our community is not only experiencing, but also what they want, right? And ultimately, what I've been trying to accomplish with some of that is there's always a hesitation, and especially now in today's climate, to go towards government, to go towards officials and be like, what's going on? But I want it to get to the point where whenever we're having a pop up somewhere in the city, our residents know, oh, it's the city. Let me go see what's going on in the city today, right? And I want to give, a piece of my mind. So ultimately, that's where I'm hoping to get to. But I know the national climate is really having an impact on that currently, but we're still, full steam ahead. Similarly, with small businesses, and a lot of what I bring up, the fare free bus, the communication in different languages, while it is something that definitely benefits our Latino community, and it comes from my personal experiences, of course, being Latino, being Chicano, um, it also benefits the wider community, right? It benefits everyone because a fare free bus doesn't matter how much you make, doesn't matter where you're from, doesn't none of those things matter. A fare free bus is a fare free bus. You can utilize it. It's a huge way to emphasize equity. Also has a lot of environmental goals tied into it because if you're not getting in your car and you're getting on a bus, we also happen to have the largest electric fleet in the Commonwealth, which I like to brag about every now and then. So we're having a lot of strides in the environment side of things. But the same thing goes for small businesses, right? I felt that a lot of our minority-owned businesses were being ignored, just to be frank, whether purposely or not. And so it was my full intention to make sure that we were not only reaching out to minority businesses, creating spaces for them, creating funding, but also that we had that capacity within our outreach to be able to actually speak to these minority-owned businesses in their languages. And I'm really proud to say that we went from having like 1.5, maybe 2 languages in our economic development partnership to now having about 5 or 6 in-house. So, folks speak Spanish, Amharic, French, Italian. They actually have someone that they can communicate with at our offices directly to receive services. And I think that's been extremely important. So, some of the approach that I've taken is making sure when I'm looking at policies holistically, when we are creating policies for some of our most vulnerable, we are creating policies that help to protect all of us. And there's a domino effect in a lot of different directions. And I won't get too far into the weeds about that. But it's been a pretty incredible journey. The police chief, one of our former police chiefs, likes to remind me that because I would say that I just kind of fell into all of this, and he would remind me, no, you've been very passionate about what you do. And I couldn't agree more. I've been very passionate, working in the school system, working in Medicaid, working with different boards and commissions, getting invested within my community, and understanding not just the needs and wants, but the dreams as well, right? Where can we be? Where should we be going? What direction is that? And I'm happy to have been playing a small piece in that, if you will, in the grander scheme of things. But I feel like I've been talking for a long time, and you know, that's always a detriment at times when you have elected officials talking too long. A lot of times we need to be listening some more. But I've been really proud of a lot of the stuff we've been able to achieve in Alexandria, and also being able to work with all of the jurisdictions around us. I'm a big believer in regionalism, working with my colleagues in Fairfax County, working with colleagues in Arlington, Loudoun, Prince William, even across the river in Prince George's and Montgomery and DC. So there's a lot of work that we need to do as a region that individually we can't accomplish on our own. So it's important that we not only be electing good people within our spaces, but good folks across the region, because we need to be able to work together. And I guess last thing, I'll tie this back to a little bit of current events, with a lot of the immigration scare that we're seeing. The city proactively, we went to all of our facilities, and analyzed the situation in terms of how we can create safe spaces. if immigration is to show up, and to show up without a warrant, then we have ways to be able to address some of that. And sorry, I'm not going into more detail, but it's purposely. But there are a lot of things that have been happening lately that we make sure that we prepare for and frankly brace for, right? Because this area has always kind of been seen as recession proof, but no one ever really thought that someone would come and take a sledgehammer to the federal government itself. And we have been preparing. It's just been difficult because I was at one of Bayer's job fairs that we hosted here in Alexandria, and another one hosted in Arlington. And there was a gentleman that it had some very specific, knowledge. They tracked fish populations in lakes, in freshwater lakes, and I'm standing there in front of them, and I'm shaking my head, and I'm like, I've got a rec center job for you. It's just a very, very difficult time. Our local economies are going to be hurting, and I think that helps to dovetail a little bit into the current elections. In that, in November, we have to have the state on our side. As individual localities, it's going to be very, very difficult for us to be able to deal with all of the social and economic impacts that we've been feeling from the federal administration. So it's going to be crucial that we have the state on our side. So it's important that we get there first. That's the first step, and then next year we'll start looking at at the midterm elections. But I know in Fairfax County, you guys also have a special election. But at that, I guess I'll stop talking since, like I said, I've been talking too much, and happy to take any questions.
Well, you haven't talked enough because we're here to listen about the things and challenges that you've been facing with this new administration too. But can you tell us, before anybody else asks your questions, can you tell us about how the impact is going to be with the bill that are trying to send out about the Medicaid with the cuts?
Oh, so yeah. Devastating. It's hard to fully put into words what is happening right now with the law that's being proposed, not just for Medicaid, for SNAP benefits, for housing, for food. Capital Area Food Bank is hurting. It's the largest food bank that we have in the region. Our rural food banks are hurting. And this is going without even saying what's going to happen on the international level, but absolutely devastating. Having worked in Medicaid for almost 10 years, we will be putting people's lives at risk. And while they are not completely trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, it's kind of death by a thousand cuts. The requirements, the paperwork that they're going to put people through, it's like I said, it's devastating. And the irony of it all is that it's going to cost all of us more money that way. The whole reason that the Affordable Care Act was put into place is so that folks aren't showing up to the emergency room, because the emergency room is extremely expensive, especially when you show up on death's doorstep and are trying to receive services instead of preemptively going to the doctor and just getting regular checkups. A regular checkup makes a huge, huge difference. So quick PSA, if you haven't had your yearly physical, please make sure that you set one up. I think it's extremely important. But yeah, it's if you have friends or family members that are in red districts, please tell them to spread their word to their federal level delegation, to their Senate members, and to their congressional members, because the proposed bill is just going to be brutal on so many different levels.
Thank you so much, Canek. Somebody else, did you have a question for Canek?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, go ahead, Leonel.
Well, first of all, Canek, once again, congratulate you with about your many accomplishments and your social concerns. It is good to see young Latino people that has been elected and reelected several times. So my question is, what kind of advice would you have for aspiring young Latinos who would like to pursue a political career at the municipal or local level?
No, great question. And I actually talk about this all the time. Whenever I have an opportunity to be in front of elementary school students, high school students, college students, young professionals, if you're interested in politics, I think a big part of it is just being able to see it, right? I think part of what enabled me to have at least a little bit more confidence in running my first time was the fact that I come from Los Angeles, right? I had a lot of different examples in front of me. I had a long history in front of me. And that's a little bit of what I talk about here in the DMV and the Latino population, how it's kind of hit critical mass, where we've graduated high school, we've started businesses, we've graduated college, we've been active in things, and then building within the foundation from what a lot of people have started before. But basically, number one, what I tell folks is you have to care. You have to really care because people will be able to tell if you don't care, right? I encourage people to get into it for the right reasons because it's not a glamorous thing. It's not easy. Um, it does take a toll on your personal life. It is a sacrifice away from your family, um, but it is also very rewarding, especially for me personally at the local level, that I can drive around Alexandria and point to things and say, hey, that happened because this or that, or hey, this happened because I voted for that, or hey, this is an initiative that I pushed and now this is why we have this. So at the local level, I think for me, I take a lot of enjoyment from that. At the state level, you of course have um, you have a larger impact across the entire Commonwealth. Personally, I'm not a big fan of the way our General Assembly is set up, that we're still on an agrarian calendar because, our General Assembly basically only works for a month or two and then they have to go back and, plant seeds on the farm or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but definitely very important component because as I said earlier, for this year, one of the most important elections we have is a gubernatorial election. We have to make sure that we have the state on our side for things. But the other thing that I want to encourage anyone that's thinking about running for office is that reach out to people, especially within our community, within the Latino community. Like we will be here and we will be supportive. That's what I always say. I'm always open to talk to anyone who's running for office, regardless if they're Latino or not. But I always try to make myself as available as possible. I know many other elected officials do as well, and I think that's one of the beauties of being in this area and in this region. I take a lot of pride in that. A lot of our elected officials are very reachable, very available, very much. You walk down the street and you'll run into some of them, right? So get into it for the right reasons, ask for help, um, get involved now. There's a variety of ways to get involved, whether it's boards and commissions, a caucus like the Latino caucus. Find something that you're passionate about, be an advocate for it, fight for it, and that'll shine through, and people will see the authenticity in it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Canek. Anybody else has a question for Canek? Marta?
Yeah, my question is a little bit curiosity. And Canek, thank you very much for your presentation. Very, very clear and very helpful. I'm curious about these policies about fare free. How does a city or county handles that? Because I imagine that is very expensive, or maybe not. So what is how do you handle it?
That's a great question. And there's a lot of variables to it. So let me try and break this down in a couple of different places. First of all, I have to acknowledge that Alexandria is a bit unique because of our size, right? We're 15 square miles, but we're 160,000 people. So we don't have to have routes that are going 20, 30 miles in one direction or another. right? Plus we have the density to be able to have the ridership levels. Now, past that, you need the financial investments, you need the infrastructure investments, and you also have to have the political will. At the time, we were still in the pandemic. We had gotten some seed money from the state that was encouraging localities to go fare free. They were essentially going to pay for the first year, and then the next 4 years they were going to wean you off it until in the 5th year, the locality had to take on the entire financial burden. So it was great to have that seed money, show to the community that it was working, show all of the benefits of it, not just from the environmental standpoint, the traffic standpoint, the equity standpoint, because we went from servicing individuals with disabilities, minorities, low income, immigrants, and seniors. We were all, for all of those categories, our service area. And when I say service area, I'm talking about a 1/4 mile walk from a bus stop to someone's home. That catchment area was 40%, maybe 50%. Now, all 5 of those categories that I mentioned, they're all 85% or higher. So if you are low income, if you have a disability, if you are a minority, if you are a senior, you are 85% of those individuals are within a 1/4 mile of a bus stop. And not just that, the way we change the routes, we are also making sure that we're going to activity centers, not just because the paradigm has been we need to get people from work and back home. Well, we know now people's actions have changed, especially with work from home. We're also trying to get people to the grocery store or to the doctor's office or to the mall or to the movie theater. So making sure that we're taking that into consideration when we're creating these new routes. And then the other component of that made it very successful was the increased frequency. Because I had a conversation with some of the government officials from Albuquerque, and they had gone fare free, but their buses were coming every 30 minutes, every 60 minutes. So of course they were running into issues with people getting on. And then of course they had they had like 100 square miles that they were trying to cover. And they had a bunch of other issues. So that's another piece of it, right? And then specifically with fare collection, you'd be surprised how much it costs to actually just collect money. So especially because you have to have people to collect the coins and the dollars, and then you have to transfer them somewhere, and you have to have someone to count it, and then everything else. So there is something to be said about fare recovery, but at the same time, for us, it actually just made it easier. And then it also talks to making it easier to get people on the bus faster, because you're not waiting for them to grab their wallet, pull out something. Oh, this dollar is, it's really wrinkly, so I got to stretch it out, and then I'm trying to put the dollar in, right? So it helps with onboarding. People could get on from both doors. They could get off from both doors. It increases the pace with which we can have our buses running, which goes into the frequency as well. So it's just a lot of different. There's so many different components that kind of go into making fare free and what makes it viable. And then lastly, like I said, one of the biggest ones, right, is the political will. Because if you don't have a group willing to push for this, if you don't have an elected official willing to back this and make the investment, right? Because I knew we were getting state money, but that we would inevitably have to pay for it ourselves as a community. Showing the overall benefit, showing the economic development that comes from it. Because if you're not spending $4 every day, well, that's $4 you have each day that you could give to your child for lunch money. That's $20 at the end of the week that maybe you could go out as a family to get a burger or something, even though I know burgers are like $10 now, but you get where I'm going. It's also explaining to the businesses, hey, we're helping your employees get to work and they don't have to worry about that, and it's something that is reliable. And on top of that, now your employees, they're not driving to the workplace and they're not taking a parking space where a customer can come and park and now frequent your business. And it's also, oh yeah, plus anybody that's coming to the city, well, they could just hop on a bus anywhere, and now they could go and they could spend their dollars wherever they want. So there's all of these different interconnectivities, right? And that doesn't even start to get into the environmental aspects in it around changing the way that our society feels about public transit. Because for some folks, there's a fear, right? It's like, oh, something might happen to me, or it's not clean, or it's not on time, and I'm not going to be able to get to where I need to go. But we're really changing that narrative, right? Saying that public transit, you could get where you need to go, whether it's work, doctor, play, to the movie theater, to church, and it'll be on time, and it'll be safe, and it'll be clean, and it will be reliable. So there's so many different things around. Sorry, and I guess you could tell like transit kind of gets me going, but yeah, I'm excited about what we've been doing in Alexandria, not just with our fare free buses, but a lot of other things. But I'll slow down.
Well, I'm glad I asked the question because I did not imagine that it was such a rich topic.
Yeah, no, and I could keep on going for like an hour about this, but I'll stop.
No, but we are really, really thankful that you came and shared with us some of the trajectory of the work that you have done for Virginia and for the public, and the changes that they've been an impact in our society. We cannot thank you enough, Canek. Thank you for your service. Thank you for being part of our community. Thank you for being a leader that is always transforming the lives of all Virginians by bringing policies and making changes that really are going to transform our lives for the best. And we are a friendly Latino caucus, and we wish you can come more often and give us an update of the things that are happening in our community, and we'll be happy to see how we can get involved. Thank you so much, and this is your home, so please come again.
Yeah, thank you again so much for the invitation. So important to have at the table and all of these
Yes,
conversations.
and please let us know about the events that you're having so we can post it in the Latino bulletin and make sure that more people, get to see what's happening
Will do.
in Alexandria.
Thank you all so
City.
much.
Okay. Thank you so much, Alec. Have a good evening and hope to see you soon. Thank you. Oh, well, what an interesting conversation, right, with Canek. And now we're gonna introduce one of the candidates that is ready to fight for the 11th seat, and is the candidate Dan Lee for Virginia, that he's visiting today to let us know more about why he's running. So please, Dan, thanks for coming. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Maritza, and buenas tardes, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity just to introduce myself.
Thank you.
I actually might first ask, have you guys all heard of my kind of background? If I don't want to repeat myself for those who have already heard it.
Oh, I think that we'll be happy to hear about everything you have to share with us. Thank
Wonderful.
you.
And I'm happy to take any questions towards the end, so thank you. My name is Dan Lee. I'm one of the 10 Democratic candidates running for the nomination in the special firehouse primary this Saturday. In fact, I just came from the Fairfax County Government Center for our last day of early voting. So it's been quite the last 3 days for sure. We've had 100+ degree weather, thunderstorms, downpours, but it's been a phenomenal experience these last 3 days, and we'll have I'm sure a really good day on Saturday. Just by way of really quick background, I'm a 20-year public servant. I've worked at the highest levels of the federal government, state government. I worked a number of years at the World Bank, working on global poverty issues. And my story is that I grew up in Fairfax County. I grew up in Chantilly, Virginia. My parents are from South Korea, immigrants. And like many refugees and immigrants, they landed here in this area to search for a better life. Growing up, I saw their struggles. I've kind of seen it. I've seen how hard they worked. And despite that, sometimes the system just would not relent. And that shaped my worldview. In terms of my education, I went to GW for college. I cleaned floors to help pay for university, and went to Dartmouth for my public health degree and my MBA. And then I went to public service. And more today, I'm actually a healthcare entrepreneur and advocate. I'm also a caregiver for my mother. She has Parkinson's disease, and she didn't have health insurance despite her being a nurse most of her career until she turned 65 and qualified for Medicare. And that day, I still remember, June 18th, 2013 is the day she turned 65. And for me as her son, that was a huge relief. And today she uses Medicare and Medicaid, because of her disability to age with dignity at home. I am running in this race because I'm really scared for the direction of our country. And I really believe that our country and our party especially needs a hard reset. And we need the hard reset towards focusing relentlessly on delivering for working class Americans. And what I mean by that is three things. From the very beginning, my campaign has been about delivering universal health care for all Americans. Secondly, it's delivering a real livable minimum wage. And third, it's always been about affordable dependent care for our kids and seniors. And like myself, if any of you have been caregivers or you know a caregiver, you know how hard it is. It's too hard in this country. And it shouldn't be that bad. For a nation as abundant as ours, for a nation as for a nation as blessed as ours, we should provide these basic things for our citizens, not just because they're nice things to have. They're essential to our right to exist. That's my belief. And I believe that our party needs to focus on these things like with a laser focus. And if any of you saw the election results in New York City a couple nights ago with Mamdani winning, I think that hunger amongst Democratic voters is now coming to the forefront. And I think that's exciting, but also it means that our party needs to be ready for change. So I'll pause there. That's my quick background. Happy to take any questions as well from this wonderful group.
Well, thank you, Dan. We're so happy to have you, and thank you for coming to talk to the Latino Caucus. And what motivated you the most to be part of this race?
My public service career over the last 20 years, the common through line has been I've been in healthcare. I've done healthcare policy, operations, but really my mother being her caregiver for the last 8 years, it's been a very poignant experience. It is hard and it should be easier than it is today. I'll also tell you that my father, who passed away in 2010, when I was growing up, I would see him count his pills for the week, put into the pill box. And some days he would skip. And I asked him, why are you skipping these days? You have to take this pill every day. And he told me that he didn't have enough pills for the week. And, this is before the ACA. We shouldn't have that kind of experience in this country. You shouldn't have to choose between groceries and your medication. You shouldn't have to choose between paying your rent and, if you have to go to the ER, going to get emergency care. I really believe that we as a nation should provide basic universal coverage for healthcare. And that's been my primary focus. And if there's anything you remember about me, if I'm your next member of Congress, I will work to abolish health insurance companies such that we can actually have a Medicare for all system. Medicare for all, by the way, is not really Medicare for all, it's just a political statement. But the idea is that you provide a universal basic health insurance system people can access and find affordable.
Thank you so much, Dan. Anybody else has a question for Dan? This is your opportunity. It's in front of you. So who's next?
Yeah, I have a question. You mentioned that you work for the World Bank and the topic of poverty. How working in that environment and in this topic impacted you in dealing with poverty in the United States?
It reminded me poignantly, I travel all over the world through that job. And I've seen a lot of things that I frankly wish I could unsee. I've seen human suffering, I've seen human devastation, I've seen violence against human beings, women, children, families. And that, of course, is unacceptable, regardless of where it is in the world. What I also saw is that the World Bank, as great as its mission is, even today, has limitations. The multilateral approach of an international organization like the World Bank is important, right? We want to make sure that our allies and our friends all across the world, as well as making sure that we make investments to prevent famine and wars, that's an important mission for an organization like the bank and the IMF and the UN and so forth. But also reminding me that the poverty we have even in our own backyard, in the inner cities of Chicago or New York City or even downtown Los Angeles, even the poverty in Fairfax County. Let's not forget, there are impoverished individuals in our own backyard, the 5th wealthiest county in the world, in the country, excuse me, by median income. That's unacceptable. And it always goes back to how are we as a society and as our government making our lives affordable for everyday Americans. And I think as Democrats in our party, we've sort of fallen away from those roots. And we need to get back to those roots. This is not rocket science. It's not that hard. It takes political courage and will. And I'll just end on one quick note. Let me just get my wallet out. I keep this card in front of me. This is my I blanked the numbers out because I used this at the candidate forum. This is my mother's SNAP card. Virginia Medicaid provides. Because of her disability, I pick up her groceries every week. And it's this card that 40 million Americans rely on so they don't go hungry in this country. And Trump is about to rip this away from her. For me, when I say I want to be a fighter in Congress for everyone, this is what it means, because this is personal to me. You know, I have skin in the game. I'm not going to let this happen to my mother or any of your families or loved ones. That's what it means to be a fighter. You're going to fight with every fiber of your being. But thank you for that question.
Thank you so much, Dan. Bob has a question for you. Bob?
Yes. Hi, Dan. Thank you very much for coming tonight. I really appreciate it. Healthcare, universal healthcare. Totally, completely different paradigm than what we're used to. And it's really complex in so many different ways. And as much as I would like to see it, and as much as I understand, at least superficially, the great benefits, both cost-wise and health-wise, I'm not sure I understand how to get there from here, because you can't just trash everything and convert. We realized that when we tried a much simpler transformation from English to metric, which never worked. But how do we do it? Is there a way to do it incrementally and not get sidetracked in the meantime on the way to universal health care?
I think it's a really great question. I appreciate it. It's a fair question too. A couple things. One is it's good to remember that our healthcare system in the U.S., the complexity, the opacity, how difficult it is to navigate, that's not a bug of our healthcare system. That's a feature of our healthcare system. What I mean by that is it's designed that way by our insurance companies, by the hospitals, by the PBMs, by everyone in between that sort of sucks up the profits to do that, so that we as patients have as little visibility into our own healthcare as possible. I know that's a cynical view, but I would say that given my 20 years of being in the healthcare system, knowing from the policy state level in the private sector, I would say that's a confident statement I'd be making. We really should get to a universal healthcare system, and if there's any sort of playbook, I think we can certainly look to in terms of making that fundamental change versus the incremental change, is that look at what happened in Trump's first 100 days this year, right? He demolished federal agencies. He bent the Constitution to his will. He broke many, many laws blatantly, and he got his way. I think if Democrats have a chance to win back the House next year and win back the White House and the Senate, then we have a once in a generational opportunity to rebuild from the ashes of our country. And that includes making sure that people have universal access to healthcare in this country. And I'll give you one fun little fact. Brown University did a study a couple months ago. It was a 17-year study that looked at basically the healthcare systems in the US and Europe. And they found that the richest Americans in this country, our country, lived as long lives as the poorest Europeans after factoring for demographics and income and all that. That's very telling of how broken our healthcare system is. And part of getting to a place where we all care, high quality care, and healthcare, by the way, that doesn't bankrupt us, literally, is making sure we have equitable access to it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
It's a good
Thank
question.
you, Dan. Now we have a question from Marta. Marta, the floor is yours.
Dan, thank you very much. I also work for the IDB, so I understand your point of view of poverty. But one question that I have is, what do you answer to people when they ask you, but you don't have experience in public office? How do you pretend to be our elected officer? It's not that I'm asking you, it's that I'm thinking that maybe that question is a question that you have heard. I want to know what you respond.
That's a good question. So let's remember, more activity does not always equal productivity, right? I am not a legislator. I'm not a politician. I'm certainly not a career politician. My background is in public service, and I've served in the White House, so I know how the executive branch works. I've served a governor, so I know how state government at the executive level works, and I've solved problems at the state level, right? As well as having international experience at the World Bank. One of my roles, I was working for the state of Commonwealth of Massachusetts previously in my previous career, was to basically go into state agencies and help make them work better. So my job was literally to fix how to make sure the trains ran on time, to ensure that people got their unemployment checks on time, to make sure that people didn't have to wait 2 hours at the DMV to renew their licenses. We brought it down to about 30 minutes to 45 minutes on average. These are daily fundamental public services that people rely on, right? And when government works well, everyone wins. My focus has always been delivering on outcomes. That's my sole focus. And we need a Congress that is focused on that has that sort of mentality and philosophy. And you may ask, well, Dan, a congressman, their job is to legislate. Their job is to create bills. Sure, right? But remember, more activity does not always equal productivity. I've seen legislation at the state level and federal level that can either be enabling or disabling. If it's enabling, you can get great results. The dirty little secret of most legislators' jobs, they won't tell you this, but the hardest part of a legislator's job, whether you're a congressman or you're in this, Virginia House or State Senate, the hardest part of the job is not getting a bill passed. The hardest job is actually, what do you do with a bill that has passed? How do you implement it? How do you fund it, right? How do you make it, but don't think about outcomes. My whole philosophy and my entire career has been about outcomes. And we really must focus on that if we're going to save our country and our party. Hi, Bob.
Yeah, just one. I'm assuming if you were in Massachusetts, you know about Paul Farmer?
Yes, I know Paul Farmer. I knew him before he died.
Yeah. So.
In fact, his colleague, Jim Young Kim, was my boss.
Yes. Partners in Health, great organization. If we could model some kind of an organization within our government that would be able to take on with facts and outcomes the way they did in freaking Russia, for goodness sakes, in Peru, we'd be a lot better off. So
yeah, and the takeaway there, the book Mountains Beyond Mountains, if you guys have not read that, highly recommend it. It's what inspired me to work for Jim Kim, and that's a whole nother long story. But the point of that, their mission is that you have to make sure you enable the community. The people at the community level make change happen. And the community level in this case, you also vote for people who represent you in Richmond or represent you in DC. So the choice that you guys are making this Saturday, or if you've already made it this week with early voting, the choice is, this election is not about a referendum necessarily about Trump. It is, but the midterms are generally the midterms determine whether the incumbent party in the White House is doing a good job or a bad job. Next year, we will see a very clear choice. This election we have this Saturday is a referendum on the direction and the agenda of the Democratic Party going forward. Are we going to double down on the status quo that has clearly not worked? Or are we going to change it up and pick someone different that knows what to do It has a clear vision and mission, and we'll go after it. And I think in New York, they made that choice 2 nights ago. Hopefully we'll make the same choice this Saturday.
Thank you.
Dan, thank you so much for taking the time to come to the Latino Caucus and talk about the reason that you're running and why people should look at the ballot, your name, and choose, because we respect everybody that runs for office, everybody that wants to bring an impact to the community, and everybody that comes and visit the Latino Caucus. Thank you so much for
Thank you very
coming.
much.
We wish you the best of luck, and I hope that you still have time to make sure that a lot of people know about why are you running and what are the changes that you're going to bring to the community in case that you win. And I cannot say more than thank you again for
I
coming.
appreciate
Thank you.
it. Ritza, may I ask, I'll ask my colleague Tashi, our campaign manager, to just drop my personal cell phone. It's 703-731-1425. Please feel free, any of you, please call me, text me. I will answer your call. I'm happy to chat more. 703-731-1425.
Yes, you can put them in the message.
Oh, I will
the
put it
box
in case
so
it's
people
deleted.
can see it.
And while you're doing that, I want to say Mountains Beyond Mountains is an unbelievable book.
I agree.
It's really phenomenal.
So if you love it, I will introduce you to Jaime Bayona. He's in the book. We work together at the World Bank. He's about to retire. He lives in this area. He lives in Maryland. So anytime you guys want to have coffee with Jaime Bayona from the Mountains, just let me know. He's a Peruvian.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you so much, Dan. We want to
Thank
save
you.
your phone number and keep in touch.
Please do. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate
Good
it.
luck. Okay, well, now I just can tell that I think we have a very good meeting tonight. Too bad that we don't have a lot of people that were able to join us, but it's summer, and so we can. Are you okay? Okay, with that, do we have any old business to bring to the table? Okay, any new business that we should consider? No. Any announcements? Bob, you want to announce the event that you're having?
Yes, we have a party on the overpass in Springfield, July 4th, from 10 o'clock in the morning to noon. And Marta, I would greatly appreciate your assistance with the Franconia Democrats.
I
don't have-
already did. I have it scheduled for the website. I mean, for for all of our social media accounts.
Great. I do have a Sign Up Genius there. Did you get that?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I got the link that you sent.
Right.
And so I am scheduling to go on the 28th and July the 2nd.
Okay.
It will be repeated.
Okay, great. I appreciate that, really. Thank you. Enough announcement.
Somebody else? Any other announcements to make? And I'm sorry, we cannot join you, Bob. My daughter is still here with us and she lives that weekend. And but there's gonna be always an opportunity.
Forced to have a wonderful time with your grandchildren.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Somebody's got to do it.
Okay, so if we don't have anything else to participate on or to talk about, you adjourn this meeting, and thank you so much for coming. I hope you were able to see a little bit of the videos that Gil put together. They were very strong videos, very impact. So we can have a happy hour by reviewing the videos or just talking, and I'm so happy that you guys came.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you, Marta. Good to see you, Leona.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you,
Bye-bye.
both
Good to see you.
Bob and Antonia, and everybody else.
See ya.
so
Bye.
hot.
Yeah. Mhm.
I would say that it was a very good meeting.
Yeah.
Oh,
Canek's presentation was very
Very good.
detailed and very inspiring. And
Yeah.
he pointed to, answering my questions, he pointed to the models. He had a model because he saw people running for office, doing things and trying to improve the status of Latinos and population in general in Los Angeles. I think that is very important. Now he is a model for others.
I met Canek when he decided to run. We were in Alexandria city in an event where he was in a table as an exhibitor. And somebody, I can't remember the name of the lady, introduced me to him and telling me that he was a Latino running for Alexandria City Council and that he was from California and he was Mexican. And I just couldn't believe it. So we became friends since then. So it's been a while. Okay. So we're gonna play one.
Wait. I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
There were a couple of people that logged on that I want to know if you know them. Alfonso Aguirre Luna.
I don't know if he's related to Canek, but I'm gonna try to find out. I'm gonna contact her to find out.
And then there was another person, Pedro Espinacorvix Gonzalez, something like that.
That's from Dan Lee, from his campaign.
Pedro Espinacorvix.
Yeah, it's from his campaign.
Oh,
From Dan
really?
Lee's campaign, yeah.
Oh, okay.
We'll get the list of the emails and get it.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna
And
get the list.
I wish I could know more about Patricia Fernandez. She has been with the video turned off. So
Well, that's good. Patricia, would you like to tell us more about yourself, please?
What kind of tell you?
Where are you from?
Yeah, tell us where are you from? How did you hear about us? Did you like it to be part of this meeting? A little something.
Okay, well, I live in North Carolina. And Canek is my son.
Oh, congratulations!
Who's your son? Who is your son?
Canek.
Yeah,
Oh,
I wanted to,
Ah,
I wanted to support him, and I wanted to see what you guys do. And thank you.
oh my
So
God.
he was terrific. Canek is one of our closest friends with the Latino caucus. He always bring us an update of the things that are happening. I wanted him to be involved with us at least once in a while so people can see about the things that he does and have a little more support where he runs. So this is a pleasure and an honor to have you with us. Hopefully one day we can see you, we can meet you, we can do something together with his campaign. That will be awesome.
Yeah. I'm having a bad hair day, so I apologize because I usually, I think it's important for people to go ahead and unmute their video, but I was kind of caught off guard. So
No problem, no problem.
and I want to say thank you to you guys because, like Kat was talking about regionalism. And I think that's really important. What's local, and then you reach out to your neighbors, and the neighbors reach out to the neighbors, and pretty soon your local is really pretty big. So that's why I think you guys, hook it up with Canek and everything. I think that's really important. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We're so happy. Really, this is a really a nice surprise. So, are you from Mexico originally?
Yeah. I was. My parents are from Puebla, and we came to the United States when I was about 4. So I did grow up in the U.S. And it's funny. My father said, "Oh, you were in the U.S., no Spanish," and it's like, anyway, I don't know why I'm telling you this, but I started to learn Spanish when I was in high school, and I took it in college. And so now, now I can defend myself in Spanish, I would say. But yeah, everybody's got a story, everybody's got a story, and it's very interesting. And all stories are important and beautiful.
Yes. And I do have family in Puebla. I have some nieces over there, and I'm originally from Guanajuato.
Oh,
from Leon. Yeah, when I knew that he came from Los Angeles, Mexican family, I'm very impacted because I moved from Los Angeles to Virginia, and I couldn't just find my place at the time, but that's so nice. So do you have, there was another Aguirre here in the meeting. Was that another of your sons?
No, I just have one. Thank you.
Ah, okay. She only has one because we saw another name Aguirre and we were like, oh, we wonder who that is.
We're in,
Where in North Carolina do you live?
Oh, I live in Raleigh right now.
Right. Okay. Well, you're always welcome to join us and see what's happening, and you can give us some advice of the things that are happening in North Carolina or things that you think that will be good to improve, or just like just put off some of your, feedback. That will be very nice.
Okay, and are you guys, because I only see a few of you guys, but is your caucus a little bit larger?
Oh, yes. It's just like usually by the summer, people are getting involved in different activities because of the school. And sometimes we don't have a meeting in June, or sometimes we don't have it in July. But we decided to have it in June, and we're thinking that probably we will have it in July. But unfortunately, this week we've been very busy and not feeling too well, so we didn't, do more reach out. But we have a couple of people that, let us know that they were not able to join us this time. But yes.
Hi, Patricia. This is Gil. I'm Latinos over on the other computer, and Maritza has been unbelievably sick for the last 3 days. I didn't think she was going to make it through the meeting tonight, and she gave it to me. So
You wanna make me laugh.
here's what happened. The granddaughter had it when they arrived. The granddaughter gave it to mother, and mother gave it to her mother, and her mother gave it to me.
Oh my gosh.
No, we went to Six Flags, and at the time that as soon as we arrived, we were surrounded by a huge storm that we couldn't just
Oh.
skip. And then we decided to go to Costco. So from the heat and the warm and the
The
rain, and
So-
then to the cold weather of Costco, I think we did it to ourselves. So we're just trying to get out of this one as soon as we can. So
Okay, we are going to let you go and take a little soup and go to sleep.
Yeah, okay. So,
thank you so much, and thank you, Patricia, for joining us. It's been a pleasure, and hopefully we will see you again.
Yeah, Patricia, the same link will work next month at the last Thursday of every month at 7 p.m.
I see. Thank you. It was a pleasure to see all of you, and keep up your terrific work. And I'll
Hey,
say right
keep
now.
encouraging your son. He's doing a great job.
Yeah.
Thank
Good
you
night,
so much. Thank
everyone.
you.
thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you, everybody. Have a good
All right.
evening.
Bye.
Bye. Ciao.
And happy 4th of July.